Aloha and welcome to Hawaii. Hawaii rightfully has a reputation as a tropical paradise. The temperature averages between a comfortable 70 and 85 degrees Fahrenheit. And when it gets too warm, the gentle trade winds will blow from the Pacific Ocean to cool things down. But it's not always cool breezes swaying palm trees and warm sunny beaches. Hawaii is susceptible to natural disasters just like every other state and territory. Hawaii can be impacted by hurricanes, tsunamis, earthquakes, flooding, and even lava flows. During your FEMA career, you may find yourself deployed to this tropical paradise to help out its residents when things don't look so wonderful. Even though Hawaii may appear to be like any other state in the United States, there are subtle cultural characteristics you should be aware of before beginning your assignment. Awareness of these cultural sensitivities will enable you to help our fellow citizens when they need it the most. This awareness will also ensure that you will continue to be welcome to this paradise when things are not so chaotic. Let's begin by looking at where Hawaii is located. The Hawaiian Islands are located in the Central Pacific Ocean, almost 5,000 miles from Washington, D.C., and almost 2,500 miles from California. In terms of time on a clock, Hawaii is up to 6 hours behind Washington, D.C., and 3 hours behind California. Think of it this way. If it's 9 a.m. in Hawaii, which is called Hawaii Standard Time, it's either 2 p.m. or 3 p.m., depending on if daylight savings time is in effect, in Washington, D.C., and 11 a.m. or 12 noon in California. Hawaii is an archipelago consisting of 8 major islands spanning nearly 350 miles. Those islands are Ni'ihau, Kauai, Oahu, Maui, Molokai, Lanai, Kaho'olawe, and the island of Hawaii. The island of Hawaii is often referred to as the Big Island, which will help you know whether someone is talking about the state or the county. From a political perspective, Hawaii's main islands are separated into 4 counties: Kauai County, the city and county of Honolulu, Maui County, and Hawaii County.
Hawaii is comprised of 4 major counties: Honolulu County, Oahu County, Maui County, Kauai, and Hawaii County, which is the Big Island. Oahu County, which is essentially the metropolitan area of the state, is where, again, the critical mass as well as the population really resides. You have Kauai, which is a little bit more laid back. We call that the Garden Isle. It's a smaller population, very, very much a slower pace of living. Then you have Maui County, which has a very strong and very present transient population there too as well, with the condominiums and the timeshares that exist on Maui County. And then you have Hawaii County, which is the largest island by landmass, but it's separated into 2 major components, the east and the west side of that island, which is a little bit, again, more laid back and a lot more rural oriented.
The United States annexed Hawaii in 1898. Sugar and pineapple were primary commodities of the Hawaiian Islands at that time and continued throughout the 20th century. Like other United States territories in the Pacific, Hawaii was located in a strategically important location for military purposes. On December 7, 1941, Japan attacked the United States by bombing ships anchored at the Pearl Harbor military base, located on the island of Oahu. This action thrust the United States into World War II and further cemented the strategic value of Hawaii's location. On August 21, 1959, Hawaii became the 50th state of the United States. Today, sugar and pineapple are no longer the top commodities for Hawaii. The primary source of income for Hawaii is tourism, which spreads itself over several industries such as service, transportation, and retail trade.
Before tourism, pineapple and sugar were king. So we were a very strong agricultural-based economy. That changed through the years as overseas labor was cheaper for those products and replaced sugar and pineapple grown here. We are trying to get back to an agricultural-based society. I'd like to see that. But right now, primarily tourism. The next biggest employer in the state of Hawaii would be the county and state government.
When you arrive in Hawaii, it may feel like any other state. There are friendly people who will direct you around the airport. You can catch a taxi to your hotel. ATMs are readily available. You will see familiar commercial stores, fast food restaurants, single-family homes, apartments, grocery stores, shopping plazas, and 24-hour pharmacies. Everything that you would probably find in your hometown. But just beyond this familiar atmosphere, Hawaii hides a rich culture that is much different than that in the mainland United States. Being knowledgeable of this culture will help you better understand its people and help you help them when they need our help the most, during a disaster. Let's begin by looking at Hawaii's population. In Hawaii, there is no racial majority class. Though Asians as a general group make up the majority of the population, everyone is a racial minority. Hawaii's population is made up of native Hawaiians, Chinese, Caucasian, Japanese, Korean, Samoan, Filipino, Southeast Asians, Polynesians, and others. American culture from the mainland has played a role in influencing the culture in Hawaii, but is by no means the dominant culture of the islands. In fact, with all the different aspects of Hawaii, it is difficult to say that there is just one culture in the islands. Whether you're dealing with the military, government professionals, paddlers, or various residential communities, you will likely encounter a wide range of communication styles and approaches. One of the areas of confusion you may run into is terminology. What is a Hawaiian? Native Hawaiians trace their ancestry back to the original Polynesian settlers of Hawaii. Other residents may refer to themselves either as Hawaiians or as Kama'aina, which literally means child of the land in the Hawaiian language, but has come to refer more generally to those who make Hawaii their home. You may also hear people referred to as locals, which is a term that refers more to sharing a common set of cultural values unique to Hawaii versus a specific ethnic group. And you may have heard the term haole, which is used to refer to people of Caucasian descent. The term haole is often now used as a non-judging descriptor, but can also be a denigrating term. In Hawaii, context is critical.
The word it actually means white or clear, actually, translucent, haole. So they called a lot of people from the mainland haoles. Generally speaking, it's not a bad word. It's just used to describe people like ourselves coming down. So I wouldn't. If somebody called me a haole, I wouldn't encourage it, but I won't discourage it either. I just let it go.
With the cultural mixing pot, local residents tend to be very open to discussions of race and cultural heritage, with much local humor based on ethnic stereotypes. Hawaiian values are focused on a group-based culture, the most significant group being that of the family, or the ohana, as the local residents say. This is quite different from the individualistic culture prominent in the mainland United States. The family's concerns take a priority over the individual's concerns.
Ohana in its simplest form means family. That could be, your mother, your father, your brother, sister. But here in Hawaii, the word ohana can extend to outside of that. Cousins, uncles. You'll often hear the term uncle or auntie to someone who is totally not even related to the family, but it's such a close relationship that person is brought into the family. It could be a longtime friend who's brought in, who becomes a son or a daughter, is treated thusly. Hawaiians and Polynesians in general have been very generous with extending the family outside of the normal realm of mother and father, brother and sister. Just that we knew that we had to take responsibility for others and bring them in so we could protect them and care for them and extend our love for them.
In an individualistic society, participants are accustomed to asking questions or making comments with little or no regard to the impact that question or comment might have to the group. The efficiency of direct communication is justified at the cost of possibly offending someone. In group societies like those in Hawaii, the direct communication is not preferred. It is much better to speak indirectly about a topic. It is preferable to spend more time speaking with someone and learning about their history before discussing the topic at hand. You may hear that people talk story in Hawaii. Talk story is based on the Hawaiian oral tradition, but it has come to mean an exchange of conversation and personal information.
We like to narrate, our experiences as well as our ways of teaching too as well. In many ways, I always tell people about like how directions are given here in Hawaii. In certain places they tell you take this road, take that road, and turn left, turn right. Where in Hawaii somebody will say, well, you get to the end of the road and you see a tree. When you see the tree, you've gone too far. So it's instead of being so directionally oriented, they actually include the story, or they'll even say something like, once you pass Auntie's house, then you hang a right and then go down 2 houses, and then you'll see a big picket fence. Stop there. So we don't use things like addresses as much as we use as like a story on how to get there.
Hawaiian culture also values modesty. It is important to be humble and unpretentious so as not to draw attention to yourself and away from the group. It is also important to be friendly and polite to everyone you come into contact with during your assignment in the islands. Being assertive can be misinterpreted as being pushy or aggressive, negative characteristics you should avoid.
And I would say that would be the number one thing, that most local people complain about people who come here, that they're maybe a little bit bossy, and the bossiness, leave that on the airplane. When you come here, just be nice.
Things we look for people who, when they come in, when we accept people more is when they listen before they talk. We respect humbleness. There's a sense that you should first seek to understand what you're doing before trying to impress anybody else. Hawaii doesn't work very well when people are very boastful, direct, insensitive perhaps to some of the nuances of our culture.
Among locals, this practice extends to driving. Honking is reserved for safety concerns and never as an expression of anger at other drivers. Honking is a sure sign that you're not from around here. Elders, or kapuna, are particularly honored in Hawaiian culture, so be sure to recognize and appreciate the seniors you encounter. You may hear the younger generations refer to their elders as auntie or uncle as a sign of respect.
There's a very strong respect for those that came before us. So elders are, or what we call kupunas, are very much a respected member of society in our state.
Some local residents may look to see if you respect their local ways and may seem distant at first. Be humble. Learn about them and earn their respect. In a professional setting, it may take longer for you to accomplish your business. Get to know your colleagues. Learn who they are, their history, and their intentions. Relax and be yourself. You will find that if you take more time to get to know your partners, you will be able to accomplish more in the long run.
People in Hawaii are very sensitive about being low-keyed, kind of kick back, they're comfortable in who they are. And someone that's trying to be something they're not stands out like a sore thumb. So just be yourself. It's very, very easy to do.
The pace in Hawaii can be different than that on the mainland United States. While operations in the Joint Field Office will likely run at their usual hectic pace, life in Hawaii is usually more relaxed. Residents are less concerned with punctuality and meeting deadlines. Some call this Hawaiian time. Others call it island time. However you want to refer to it, awareness of this concept will save you from frustration and headaches when you schedule meetings outside the JFO.
Patience is very important, especially if you're working on one of the neighbor islands. We have Hawaiian time. You know, you're going to have your meeting at 3 o'clock. People are rolling at like 3:20, 3:30, 3:40.
If you hear the expression Hawaiian time, it means, hey, don't expect people at 10 o'clock on the button. They'll be here at 10:05. So that's what that means.
Oahu can be a very fast-paced, community, but you drive, 10 miles outside of the urban core of Honolulu, and all of a sudden the pace of life really starts to slow down. And you talk about this idea of Hawaii time. Hawaii time has been it's almost a little cliche-ish when you think about it, when you say you're gonna be there at 3 o'clock and then you get there at 3:30. That's, I'm gonna get there on Hawaii time, basically. So it's a very laid-back perspective.
Consistent with the casual pace, you will find the wardrobe in Hawaii to be fairly casual. Wearing aloha shirts and solid color slacks is business attire for the islands. Throw on a jacket, and you're ready to meet the governor or mayor. But please, don't wear shorts or other inappropriate wear to a meeting. Think business casual, and you'll be ready for most any event.
So most people here in Hawaii, the business attire, is a nice pair of slacks, closed-toed shoes, and an aloha shirt. And if I tuck this shirt in and put a blue blazer on it, I can go right to the top of the Capitol and visit with the governor. No ties, please.
In the course of doing your work as a disaster response or recovery specialist, you are likely to run across matters that involve land or property that hold important historical and cultural significance to Hawaii. It is sometimes difficult for visitors to understand the importance of cultural artifacts and property. These cultural lands are a large part of Hawaii's heritage and incorporated into everyday life. Keep this in mind as you work with your local partners and ask state, county, or community partners to help you identify and respect such sites. These places can be temples, shrines, stones, rock carvings, fish ponds, and other ancient artifacts. They hold cultural significance for many different reasons. Some places are sites of bloody battles that occurred way back in Hawaii's history. Other sites are important ancestral burial grounds, or perhaps places of religious worship. Whatever the significance, there are certain rules you need to follow when visiting these areas. It is important to be respectful. You should never climb or step on ancient remains. Never move or remove any rocks or artifacts from these areas. It is a common practice when visiting a sacred site to leave a small offering, such as a lei, a fruit, or a plant. If you should see these offerings lying around, leave them alone. They do not belong to you.
Well, here in Hawaii and all the islands, we have a number of sacred sites. They could be heiau, which are really very prevalent, large monolithic stone structures. They're used for religious and cultural practices, and some are still today too. And actually some sites can be just a place, or what's called a wahipana. It may not even have a marker on it. So one of the things that's important with cultural sites is if you think you're going into an area that may be one or near one or in one, is to ask someone who's from the area, or at least a Hawaiian person, what do I need to know before I step into this area? Because again, some places are marked and some places aren't.
You're going to hear and see a lot of new expressions and gestures when you come to Hawaii. One such expression is aloha. Aloha is the island's word for saying hello and goodbye. When someone greets you in Hawaii and says aloha, you can respond in turn by saying aloha back to them. What they have said to you and what you have said back is hello and welcome. At the end of an encounter, if someone says aloha again, you should return the aloha.
We talk about this thing called the aloha spirit. And the aloha spirit is one that is a welcoming and nurturing type of environment.
When you break it down, the traditional meaning of it is alo, which is the face, and ha, which is the breath. And we believe that the breath that you shared with another person through the touching of noses and the exhalation, the ha was the breath of life. You can lie to someone using your words, but your breath, your shared breath, is the honest, true self of you that comes through your face.
Another word you will hear is mahalo. It means thank you. If you want to say thank you very much or thank you so much, you would add the adjectives nui loa to the end of mahalo. For example, thank you so much for the coffee could be said as mahalo nui loa for the coffee. A hand gesture that you're going to see is that of the shaka. The shaka was popularized by surfers who used it to say hang loose. It's created by extending your last finger or pinky finger and thumb while holding the 3 middle fingers to the palm. It can mean a number of different things. It can mean hello, thank you, peace, or take care, among other things. If someone flashes a shaka to you, don't be offended. They are only expressing gratitude toward you. You can return the expression by showing them your shaka. Other unfamiliar words you may hear are pau, for done. Think pauhana for happy hour, or kuleana for responsibility. And the lanai, or porch or veranda, is a critical part of any home, as much social interaction takes place on the lanai or in the carport of local homes. One other thing you may be surprised by is the amount of hugging you may see, even in some business settings. For many local residents, a hug is a customary greeting and goodbye.
Hawaii is a very hugging-oriented community. It's a show of respect and a recognition that that you're here and that we're here together and we respect each other.
There are safety concerns you should be aware of before you travel to Hawaii. Like many of the Pacific Islands, visitors in their downtime like to relax on the warm beaches and swim in the blue inviting waters of the Pacific Ocean. Hawaii is famous for its beautiful beaches and ocean activities, but Hawaii's coastal areas are created by nature. So use common sense and enjoy these areas with care. Be aware that Hawaii can have strong riptides on certain parts of the islands. It's best to check with your hotel's front desk to inquire where it is safe to go swimming, and remember to have a buddy and let someone know where you're going. Even strong swimmers need to take caution when swimming in the ocean.
Our oceans look very beautiful, and they are. Most of the time they're flat and they're calm, but they can be very dangerous. We always recommend, if you get to a beach area, check with the lifeguard in the area. Ask them, what are the hazards here? Where am I safe? And if there are no lifeguards there, ask someone who's on the beach who lives there, because they'll be happy to tell you what to watch out for.
All beaches in Hawaii are open to the public, even if they're in the front yard of someone's house. However, it can be very dangerous to swim in areas that aren't designated as hotel fronts or beach park areas. It's best to swim at public beaches only. Most public beaches have lifeguards at least some of the time. They can assist you if you find yourself in danger, but it's no excuse to disregard common sense practices. Take caution when you enter the water, and also be aware of when the jellyfish are around. Jellyfish stings can be painful. South-facing Hawaii beaches, including Waikiki, Ala Moana Beach Park, Haunama Bay, and the Waianae Coast on Oahu, are the most impacted by jellyfish 8 days after a full moon, and they can stick around for up to 3 days. Kauai can have warning signs posted at Poipu Beach. Maui beaches and Big Island beaches are also affected, but typically have fewer problems. If you're in Hawaii during a jellyfish invasion, talk to the lifeguard for advice and look for posted jellyfish signage. Also check the beach itself to see if any jellyfish have washed up. And if you decide to hike, please hike with a buddy and stay safe.
Since it's so hot, people think, well, I can go hiking into the mountains and I'll be fine. Well, you can get hypothermia here. It can happen because at night, if you're in the back of a valley in an enclosed trail, if it rains, the wind blows, it gets cold, and we have had people get hypothermia. So we do have, weather stresses you got to be aware of here.
One of Hawaii's largest attractions is the sun. The sun is almost always shining in Hawaii. But the sun can also be dangerous to visitors of the islands. If you're going to be spending any amount of time outside, you should wear sunscreen and protect yourself. The sun's rays are much stronger in Hawaii than in the mainland United States. Don't be deceived into thinking you do not need to use sunscreen because you don't use it at home. You should always wear sunscreen when you're outside. It's wise to apply sunscreen at least 10 minutes before you go out. You should also wear sunglasses and a hat to block the sun from your face. And lastly, drink plenty of water. It's easy to get dehydrated in this warm, sunny climate. So, if you find yourself deployed to Hawaii to assist with a disaster response and recovery operation or for other business purposes, remember to be aware of these cultural characteristics. Local residents will welcome you with warm aloha, but it is important not to abuse or disrespect their welcome. Be respectful and be of service. If you're unsure, ask your local counterparts how they would proceed and observe their practices. And always remember, you're a representative of your organization and the United States government at all times when you're on the islands, regardless of where you are or whether you're on or off duty. Thank you for your role as part of the team. Your expertise and assistance will be well received. Aloha!